There is no lack of homothumenon in the world of Josephus and the Christians. War is probably the most powerful action in human experience for getting us to feel and think and act together as one. And wars, both big and small, neighborhood skirmishes, full-scale battles, were breaking out daily as the early church was in formation. They had cheap ways to get homothumenon, and they didn't take them. They stayed on track, following Jesus. In the midst of all the stimulus and attraction and pressure and precedent to take things into their own hands, accomplish a victory, some men and women managed to keep their attention on Jesus, to follow Jesus, and it's possible still. But it is only possible through prayer. It's not enough to be warned of the opportunism of Josephus and the violence of the zealots. Both the opportunism and the violence are as much a part of our society and culture. We take them in with our mother's milk. We need to pray our lives into the act of following Jesus so that we become followers from the inside out and not just follow with our feet. Judas followed Jesus with his feet all over Palestine, but it never got inside him somehow. He was an opportunist to the end. Peter followed Jesus all over Palestine, but at the crisis in the garden he turned into a zealot, swinging his sword with the best of them. Prayer is the way we get the following inside us, or as that wonderful phrase in Psalm 84 has it, become the person in whose heart are the highways of Zion. The first prayer that is recorded after the church came into being at Pentecost, there's a pre-Pentecost prayer in chapter 1, is prayed by the church in community. Peter and John had just been let out of prison by Caiaphas and rejoined their friends and given their report. The spontaneous response to this report was prayer, a prayer that seems to me particularly well suited for our use as we follow this narrow path flanked by the high roads of Josephus on one side and the zealots on the other. And here's the prayer. And when they heard it, that is, they heard Peter and John's report, they lifted their voices together to God and said, Sovereign Lord, who didst make the heaven and the earth and the sea and everything in them, who by the mouth of our father David, thy servant, did say by the Holy Spirit, why did the Gentiles rage and the people imagine vain things? The kings of the earth set themselves in array, and the rulers were gathered together against the Lord and against his anointed. For truly in this city there were gathered together against thy holy servant Jesus, whom thou didst anoint, both Herod and Pontius Pilate, with the Gentiles